The Last Spell just came out of early access after a year and a half. So how is it now? How is version 1.0? Is it worth playing? Let's get into it. Starting with the story, gameplay, my pros and cons, and then my final thoughts on who I think should be picking this game up. The story and setting is a world of dark fantasy war. You got humans, you got orcs, you got demons, and everyone is killing everybody. It is pretty brutal. Mages who are very powerful, but are still sort of seen as people who are bringing harbingers of doom. They want to cast the last spell, which is, the name of the game. So they need time and energy. Everyone wants to kill them as they try to cast the spell, and that's how this game turns into a tower defense. Moving on to gameplay, you're going to be playing on maps to defend a singular point. The whole goal is if you lose, it's over, and as you play, you're going to be getting lots of waves of enemies. You're going to be actually getting panic as well throughout the rounds, which increases or decreases score and so on. Some of the mechanics here, you have your haven, which is your base. You're going to be building structures here, doing worker placements to sort of scavenge items, get gold, resources, buy and sell items and equipment, unique buildings like mana wells, health things, depending on how far you are in the game. You're going to be getting a ton of those. For defense purposes, you could also build tons of structures, walls, gates, things outside and also inside, and also your main sort of protection are your heroes. You're going to be controlling many of them at a time. The game works on a day and night system. During the day, you're going to be preparing everything that I just talked about, and then at nighttime, the waves of enemies come all in different directions. Combat is turn-based, grid-based. So think of it like Final Fantasy Tactics, or people like to also say XCOM-ish. So they got action points which you're going to be using to walk around, attack. You have health, you got armor, mana, weapons, skills, and a lot of different consumables. You're primarily going to be using 3 class types. These are melee classes, swords, shields, maybe even two-handed weapons, rangers with primarily bows, mages using magic and staves. They have tons of buff for each different, each different class, lots of damage, AoE, so all of them are very powerful on their own, and of course they support each other immensely. So it sounds simple, but that's kind of it. You're going to just be surviving as much as you can, dying in the middle, and then repeats. It ends after a set amount of rounds, or like I said, if the singular point where the mages are charging up if you lose. You're going to be retrying again and again. There's 5 maps total. You're going to be unlocking them pretty slowly, but as you play and get experience, you get meta progression in the form of unlocking structures, new units, equipments, and stat increases to make your odds even better as you play the game. And yeah, that's the last spell in a nutshell. Now for my final thoughts on the game, starting with the good stuff. So as mentioned at the beginning, the game just got out of early access. It was about a year and a half. I waited to play it. It was available. You can play the whole time. But, I think it was mostly positive the whole way through, which is nice to see. The music in this game is top notch. Very rock. You got some hard rock. Think of it like doom and gloom and that sort of stuff. It really amps it up. One gigantic plus for this game is the replayability aspect. There's lots of progression. There's about 200 plus different sorts of upgrades that you're going to be getting very slowly as you play the game. And also you can replay with random elements. All the characters are going to be rolling differently. Zombies are going to be moving in different ways. It's just different every single time. Not by too much, but enough where it does skewer the experience quite a bit, but you're essentially still doing the same thing, which is defending. You got some neat little customizations. Your characters start randomized, male, female, depending on the items. You get different hair, names. You can change all of that, which is kind of cool. And also you can change their builds. Every character has a sort of skill sheets that is different every single time. So this character is not always going to have the same one at level 1 as maybe when you play a couple of hours later. So different sort of situations. So another plus, some people might think it's bad, but yeah, it's very challenging. But you're always learning. This is one of those games where the more you play, you're going to be making mistakes. You're going to be overwhelmed by the amount of numbers. But as you get going, even about an hour or so in, you're going to be more efficient with your moves. You're going to start using the hotkeys for your skills. You're going to get faster. And it really incentivizes tons of experimentation to just try out all these skills and see what works and what doesn't work. Great visuals. This thing screams indie just as you look at it. It's really nice sprite based. It looks good, feels good, It has great colors. Feels good to look at. There you go. Okay, now for some of the noteworthy cons of the game. I think the controller for this game is not good. I played primarily keyboard and mouse, and then we tried out playing with a pad. I would probably not recommend this on Steam Deck or pad. You could do it, but it doesn't really lend itself to it. You're going to be doing a lot of button clicking to get just some of the basic things done that would take you 1 or 2 mouse clicks, so just keep that in mind. And depending on how you like your roguelikes, these runs take a very, very long time, and I mean hours and hours. You can go from maybe 2 to 6 hours depending on how fast you play. Now, as mentioned, this is either good or bad depending on how you like to see it. The good news is you can save at any moment just by, quitting the game and coming right back. I had a personal issue where it was running at a very, very high CPU rate, terrible performance overall. It was working fine the first couple of hours, and then when more zombies started to get in, it started to lag and FPS drops to like 15 to 20. I was running at like a solid 60, and it's a little bit unexpected because this is a sprite-based game, and you think, oh, you should be able to run this. Yeah, I'm running a 2080 GPU, and it's just so much stuff going on, and I don't know why it's just unoptimized that way. Now, you might not get this experience that I had even using the same or lower card, but at the time I was using a 1 PC stream setup and recording, so that definitely kind of messed with it. And funny enough, because this game, and I was so sick of it, I decided to get another PC. Well, I had a secondary PC ready to go, but I finally learned how to do a 2 PC setup, routing the audio over here so everyone can see it. So now I have 1 PC that is dedicated to streaming, 1 PC dedicating to playing the games, all connected through a nice capture card. So thanks to the last spell for that, I can now play it at a decent rate, and future games past that. But yeah, you might have issues. You can actually Google it. Go Google the last spell, CPU FPS drop issues. You're gonna see a lot of people complaining also about this. Another tiny nitpick I had as well as, they call it a roguelike, a tower defense roguelike. Well, yeah, you're gonna have lots of runs for sure, but I feel like they're so long that and the meta progression is very powerful, very game changing. Some games like the Binding of Isaac or Spelunky, those are like more ish of the roguelike ish spirits in my opinion, where you can get super strong later on, but you're just primarily unlocking things to find in the game. You're always starting at the same base, where in this game, oh my god, your characters are like, maybe a couple hours in the game, wow, your characters have 50% more health and 30% more mana, forever. So it has like a gigantic heavy lean on the meta progression that it really is hard to really call it a roguelite experience. You're just going as far as you can, dying and leveling up and doing the same thing. It's almost like banging your head against a wall in a grid-based RPG sort of game. I can see that, it technically goes in there, but it's not the sort of game where it's like, I'm gonna beat it the first try. You're always like dead. So you can go in this game playing as good as you're ever going to, but then you just haven't unlocked that threshold yet by grinding the game out. So that's a bad thing if you see it from that perspective. This is also one of those games where it gets easy but gradually gets tough. Almost every decision counts. You can easily make mistakes, but later on, you gotta sit down and think. As soon as it hits day, you might spend half an hour looking at all your characters. What stats do I want to increase? What skills do I want to put? What synergizes with what characters? Okay, I gotta go to the shop. What's in the shop? I gotta compare the item for each character, put them in the offhand consumable, swapping out the structures. Which ones do I need to build? Which ones do I put workers in? Defenses, everyone coming on the outside. So there's a lot of micromanaging here. And as mentioned, you don't have to think too hard about it early, but I guess they do give you enough time to really learn, and I guess it is a little bit of your fault later if you get overwhelmed, because they do give you the time to really learn the system. But once again, it's one of those games where every decision is going to matter, and that's just the prep phase. In combat, there's no do-overs. This is the roguelike sort of difficulty where no rollbacks. You go in, if your character dies or gets really messed up, it happens, man. So once again, good or bad thing, depending on how you like your roguelikes. And to sum it up, the last spell is a tower defense meets grid-based tactical strategy game. So if you like roguelikes with very, very heavy meta progression, tons of upgrades. I mean, a lot, 200 plus. You like doing runs over and over again, even though they are on the longer side. There's dozens and hundreds of hours that you can spend here. It also doesn't hurt that for the game and the content you get, it's very cheap. It's like $25 on Steam, and I picked it up on launch day, version 1.0, so it was 10% off. I would say if you could pick this game up at 20 bucks, it is 100% worth it if you know what you're getting yourself into. So that's gonna be it. If you guys enjoyed, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're interested in seeing my let's play of the game, there's a link down below to my let's play channel. It's called MabiVsGames 2, or you can just watch the whole thing, and please come my live streams, all link down below as well. We'd love to see you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.